Hey everyone, Nubkeks here, and in today's video I want to talk about some of the massive class buffs and spec buffs that are going to be coming next week. So around about February 3rd, depending on which part of the world you're in and when your weekly reset comes in, that's when these are due. Okay, so let's dive into it. Death Knights, first of all, Frost Death Knights. All the damage of their abilities is being increased by 5%. For Demon Hunters, Havoc Demon Hunters, the damage of, again, all of their abilities increased by 3%. For the Hunters, Beast Mastery and Survival, both getting their damage increased by 5% to compete more with that Marksmanship Hunter. Frost Mage is seeing another 3% buff. Assassination Rogue, abilities all buffed by 5%. This is like, I know, the third or fourth time in a row that they've received a massive buff. Enhancement Shaman actually getting damage increased by 3%. Destruction Warlock damage buffed by 5%. And for the Warriors, Arms and Fury both having their damage increased by 3%. So this is going to have certainly an impact on all different areas of the game, of course. I'm looking specifically from a rating perspective. So if we jump across, if we go into like Warcraft logs, let's take a look over here at like the statistics. If we just take an overall DPS overview for the last 2 weeks, we can see that, okay, this stuff makes a lot of sense, right? Survival and Beast Mastery Hunter, they're down here at the bottom. They're a good bit behind Marksmanship Hunter, which is actually only around about the middle of the pack now, guys. But yeah, they obviously deserve the buff. You can see Arms Warrior. Fury Warrior is actually starting to make its way up the pack a bit. They're both going to get a small increase. Havoc getting buff. Destruction. Assassination. You can see Sub Rogue, in fact, is a little bit lower. They're not going to do very well in cleave scenarios. They're more of single target specialist. Enhancement Shaman actually, and Frost. It's pretty much all of these specs here near the bottom. Frost Mage as well. So basically, if you draw a line here and you take all of these specs minus Sub Rogue, they're all getting buffed in this series of tweaks. So certainly from a rating perspective, I think that this is fantastic. I will point out that obviously, you know, obviously enough, like if I'm progressing through mythic content, if I'm a mythic raider and let's say I'm playing a mage, I'm going to be playing Fire Mage because it is the best. I'm going to be building those legendaries. I'm going to be getting the gear with the best stat priorities for that spec. I'm going to be going with the Covenant and the Conduits for that spec. So I know, for example, with Fire Mage, that's Night Fae, okay? Whereas with Frost Mage, Venthyr is better for them. So this is going to mean that, okay, yeah, Frost Mage is probably going to be a bit worse here on these charts, generally speaking, early on in the raid, because all of the mages that are really try-harding and doing their best are going to be going for fire. But I think we're certainly reaching the part of the expansion now where lots of guilds have beaten the raid and they can actually switch and try other specs just for fun in their raiding and to practice and get more info on those specs, preparing for the next tier or doing Mythic Plus or whatever, or PvP, whatever it is that they want to focus on. So we will see some more variety, which is why you will always see these numbers constantly changing and tweaking. But yeah, this gives you a cool overall idea. Yeah, great changes. Good news for all of you guys. Now, another thing I did want to throw into this very quickly as well. Actually, you know, I just want to mention too, because I know a lot of people are down on the Warriors, and I can totally understand that because, look, their overall damage isn't great, but Warrior is still a spec that you're absolutely bringing to most fights simply because Battle Shout is that strong. So it probably won't affect them all too much. I don't think Warrior is going to be strong enough that you'll stack Warriors, really. And they already sort of had a guaranteed raid spot for Mythic because of Battle Shout. But it's good for them, and this is great for these other classes and other specs which probably didn't have a particularly strong reason to bring them. The other thing I want to point out, which makes me very happy, is that we're seeing some massive buffs as well to the adventure tables and the adventurers for the Kyrian and the Venthyr Covenants. We also do have a rework to the Arden Wheel, the Night Fae Bramble Trap ability, which has been redesigned, and now is the 1 cooldown ability, excuse me, which does damage and reduces the damage of the next enemy attack. So that's a pretty big nerf to their trappers, I believe. But yeah, I can't speak to all of these Kyrian buffs, though obviously some of them are pretty crazy. Like poor old Telethicus here has had his health doubled and his spell effectiveness increased by 167%. Apollon, his health up by 25%, spell effectiveness up by 100%. There are some insane buffs here to these followers. For me, on my Venthyr, I just did a video where I was looking at this this add-on, Venture Plan, which is absolutely incredible and completely changes how you approach your mission table. But I was talking about in that one how bad, and we could even see our chances of success. We were struggling to beat any mission. Our followers were so bad. But for example, Rahel, you get her, I think, at Renown level 2, the first followers that you'll ever get. She does like melee attacks and she throws daggers at people. Well, for example, again, Rahel over here, where is it? Rahel, she's getting her health increased by 40% and her spell effectiveness doubled. You know, these are crazy buffs. Here's one of my favorite ones, Stonehead, health increased by 25%, upping the cooldown, spell effectiveness increased by 400%. It's like, it's just kind of nuts how undertuned. Has this affected you guys negatively? I've really struggled with the Venthyr mission table. As you can tell by just these overwhelming slew of buffs to everyone, they were quite undertuned, right? Bogdan, spell effectiveness up by 150%. Yeah, it's kind of nuts. So there you go, guys. Lots of nice balanced things coming this week. The thing I just want to end on is I just want to give Blizzard a big thumbs up for this. I think it is fantastic that they are taking some of these specs that are underperforming and they're actually tweaking them. If you guys that were playing last year at the end of BFA in Nyalotha, obviously it was complicated by the corruption system and everything like that, but we didn't get any balance changes. Like once the patch went live, they balanced corruption a little bit, but apart from that, they didn't do any tweaks for any of the specs, for any of the classes. If your class was bad at the start of Nyalotha, your class was bad for all of Nyalotha. Things never, ever got better for you. So it's great that they are coming in and doing some of these small changes. I think it's fantastic. Again, maybe the only thing that they could do even better would be, okay, maybe even more focused changes. That could be great to come in there. More focused changes could be great. I think probably the best example would be Havoc Demon Hunter. Their AoE damage is actually really good. It might be good to buff some of their single target damage. That's where they really fall behind, and that really hurts them. Certainly in the raid, that hurts them. So that might be something to look at. Again, Frost Mage is similar, I would say. Their AoE, their cleave damage is good. Their single target damage is bad. So maybe some more targeted adjustments could be good to improve this even more. But on the whole, really happy that they're doing this. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think. Are you excited for these changes? Are you going to try out one of these specs that has been, unfortunately, maybe underperforming a little bit too much? Let me know. I'll see you all next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.